It is important to make a negative message effective, knowing that it's meant to be conveying important information and should be not repeated. In doing so, organizing a negative message is important. Some guidelines. First, always state the reason before the refusal. This will be important to sound objective, and I believe it's easier to be accepted. Secondly, always say the negative information once. Thirdly, always provide an alternative or compromise if that is possible. And end it with a positive forward-looking statement. This should be at the end so as not to sound superficial. Because if you had mentioned the solution up front, it may sound that you had given this some thought. For the receiver, it may not sound detached and inconsiderate instead. To help us in forming an effective negative message, we break down a negative message into 6 parts or components. They are the subject lines, buffers, reasons, refusals, alternatives, and lastly, the endings. The first one is subject lines. Subject lines direct the audience, receiver of the message, the reader, to the topic to be communicated. In a negative message, it is a negative topic. A negative subject line is clearly given so that the reader did not ignore the message when he or she would require the information to act. This is because not everyone reads all their messages. Be cautious when using neutral subject lines. This is because negative message is important to be conveyed in time and at once. Which of these subject lines would attract your immediate attention? In my opinion, that the second part of this negative message is as important to understand. Buffers. Buffer is a statement made to delay the negative message, and it is why negative statements become accepted by the receiver. It will create harmony. Buffer directs the discussion away from the negativity, brings in the context to the negative message, but only to be used if you know how to write a good one. As in this example, in a termination situation, not explaining about the termination yet, you put the company position in a context which a company is not entirely negative. There are common types of buffers, 5 of them. The first one is positive good news, fact or chronology of events, reference to enclosures, thank the audience, and finally general principles. Have a look at this example. This example combines the different common types of buffers that we have here. It reveals positive good news. There's actually a chronology of event leading to the food shortage. There's also a reference to enclosure. There's a promise to the audience that food will be served adequately in the next break. And there's also a part where they thank the understanding of the audience. And this is an example where buffers has been written using the different types of buffer. Next, we will be discussing about the third part of a negative message, reasons. Reasons must be made clearly so that it is convincing before a refusal is spelled out. It is to prepare audience for the refusal, that is the negativity, and help audience to accept the refusal, the negative message. Never hide behind a company policy or any policy for that matter. For example, the policy stated that we do not need to pay you when there's no work done. Instead, show how the policy benefits the audience. If none, then totally omit from the message itself. In this example, it is the policy to account for extras of 50%, but the excess was more than the policy. Next is the refusal itself. Put refusals immediately in the reasons. Make it clear and finalize both reasons and refusal in one sentence. As in this example, the refusal is that it will be possible for us to provide the food shortages immediately for everyone. Put it immediately after the reasons given before. After refusal, we provide alternatives. Alternative offer audience ways to get what they want or need. Alternative will show that you care for the audience needs. Alternatives give audience a freedom of choice, being in control of what they want, and it will allow you to end the refusal in a positive note. The example here provides information as to how the audience can get food. There is a choice that the organizer can arrange for it to be delivered, or the choice for the audience to go and purchase it themselves. The positive note is that food will be served even if it has to be purchased by themselves. Finally, the last of the 6 parts is ending. This refers to a good alternative at the end. Best ending looks to the future. Avoid insincere endings, too committed or making big promises. The 2 examples here are good endings that covers all elements discussed.